So guys, I folded my fabric this way. So for you to know how you are going to fold your fabric this way, what you are going to do is to get the biggest part of your measurements, the biggest part of your body, because right now I'm going to be making a gown. So my hip is the biggest part of my body. So I'm going to use my hip to fold up this place. So I'm going to get my hip measurement. My hip measurement is 44. 44 divided by 4, that is 11 inches. My 11 inches, I have it here, plus 2-inch sewing allowance. Let me start from this other side. 11 inches, I have it here, plus 2-inch sewing allowance. So this is how I'm going to fold my fabric. So I've started folding it. This is how I'm just going to fold my fabric from this point here that I marked. I'm going to fold my fabric this way. So it's very, very easy. That is how you are going to get your fabric folded. Now that I've folded my fabric this way, then I make it equal. So now that I've folded my fabric, the next thing for me to do is to measure my gown length. My gown length is 44 inches. 44 inches is my gown length. So I'm going to measure the 44 inches. But before then, I'll add another fabric to the down, round. I will pleat it down. And that fabric will be like 2 inches. So I'm going to remove that 2 inches from the 44 inches. That is, I'll be left with 42 inches. Now, 42 inches plus 1 inch sewing allowance. I have 43 inches, so I'm going to measure my 43 inches and then I'll mark it. So this is my 43 inches. I'm going to measure it, then I'll mark it this way. So this will be my shoulder guide. This is going to serve as my shoulder guide. The next thing I'm going to be measuring now, because this is the back. For this gown, for a wrap dress, you are going to cut the back first. The next thing I'm going to measure now is my shoulder measurement. So my shoulder is 15 inches. So I'm going to measure 15 inches divided by 2. I have 7.5 plus ½ inch sewing allowance. I have 8 inches. So I'm going to measure my 8 inch here. My 8 inch will be here. The next thing I'm going to be measuring is my bust point. From this shoulder here, I'm going to measure my bust point. My bust point is 10.5 inch plus 1 inch sewing allowance, that is 11 inch, plus ½ inch sewing allowance, that is 11 inches. My waistline is 18 inches. My waist point 18 inches plus ½ inch sewing allowance, that's 18.5 inches. This is it here. Then from your waist to your hip, you are going to measure 9 inches because I'm a tall person. It depends on the height. 8 to 9 inches for you to get your hip measurements. So after doing that, the next thing I'm going to be doing right now is to draw a straight line across those points that I've made with the use of a ruler. So I'm going to mark out the dot with a straight line like I'm doing this way. With a straight line this way. Then after that, I want to get my armhole measurement. For your armhole measurement, you can use 2 methods. The first method is by coming up from this bust point by 2 inches or 2.5 inches. Or you get your bust measurement and divide it by 6. Your bust measurement divided by 6, then you add 1.5 inch sewing allowance. That is how you are going to get your chest line. That is how we are going to get our chest line. Or you just come in by 2 inches if the person is not so tall. or at most 2.5 inches. So I came in by 2.5 inches, and I'm going to just draw a straight line across it this way. So this will be my chest line. This is my chest line, this is my bust point, this is my waistline, this is my hip line, and this is my shoulder line. So I've measured my shoulder. So I'm just going to straighten my hand down to this place to meet it like this. After that, I'm going to measure my bust measurement on this line without any allowance. My bust measurement is, my bust is 39 inches. 39 divided by 4. You can just divide it this way with the use of your tape rule. You divide your tape rule by 4. 39 divided by 4. I have 9 and 3/4 inches. So that is this, what I have here is what I'm going to mark here. Is what I'm going to mark here. This folded part is what I'm going to mark here. Then I just curve it this way. I curve it this way. The next thing I'm going to do is to mark my neck. For the width of the neck, this is the back that I'm cutting. I'm going to use 2.5. For the wideness, I will use 2.5 inches. Then for the depth, I'm going to come in by 1.5 inches. Then I connect it to form a curve. The next thing I'll be doing is my shoulder slant. And for my shoulder slant, I'm going to come down by just 1/2 inch. Then I trace it out with my ruler. After that, I'm going to measure my bust on this chest line first. I'm going to measure my bust and add 2 inches sewing allowance, or 1.5. So this is my bust measurement that I've marked the other time. Then I'm going to add my 2-inch sewing allowance. I'm still going to come down here and measure my bust and add my 2-inch sewing allowance. The next thing I'll do is to measure my waistline. I'll measure my waist and add my allowance. The waist measurement I have here is 34 inches. 34 divided by 4. You can just go ahead and divide it this way with the use of your tape rule. (34 divided by 4). I have 8.5. So I'm going to mark out my 8.5 here with my 2 inches sewing allowance. With my 2-inch sewing allowance. So the next measurement I will be having here is my hip, and my hip is 44 inches. My hip is 44 inches. So 44 divided by 4, I have 11. I'm going to mark out my 11 here with 2-inch sewing allowance. So this is what I have, guys. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect the dots to form a shape, just like I'm doing this way. This is going to be straight. Then I come in this way. Then I go down. Can we see it? Then the next thing I'll be doing now is to trace it out with my scissors. So this is the back piece that I'm cutting right now. So I'm just going to go ahead right now and trace it out with my scissors. So this is what I have for the back. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and cut to the front. So guys, it's time to cut the front piece. So I'm just going to place my back on my front piece this way, like I'm doing right now. I'm going to place my back on my front piece like I'm doing right now. But I'm going to add some allowance to it for the overlapping. So that's what I'm trying to place my fabric correctly this way. So just as you can see mine, if you want to place your back on your front piece, make sure you are going to leave at least 5 to 6 or even more than 6-inch allowance at the middle here for the overlap. So that is what I'm actually doing right now. I added allowance here. You can use 5, you can use 6, but I'm using 6.5 because I really want it to overlap and cover. You know it's going to be a gown. It's going to be a wrap gown. So I'm using 6.5. But depending on your fabric, if you don't have enough fabric, you can use 5 or 5.5 or 6. The maximum of 6.5 is what you're going to be using. So that's what I've done here. I'm going to rule my shoulder line this way. I'm going to go ahead and rule and trace out my shoulder line. After that, I'm going to go ahead and trace out every other measurement. Every other measurement will be the same. So I'm going to mark out my neck. This is my neck. Here. This is my neck point for the back. So I'm going to mark it out this way. I'm marking it out this way. Then I will move to my waistline. My waistline, then extend my waistline to the other side. I'm going to extend it to the other side just as I'm doing this way. Now, from my neck here to this place, I'm going to draw a V shape. Just as I'm doing like this, I'm going to connect it. I'm going to connect it to this waistline. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to connect it to the waistline with the use of my ruler. Just this way. Yes. Because it's going to be a V-neck. Now, after that, from this point here, I'm just going to draw out a curve. I'm going to draw out a curve to this other hand. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. I'm going to bring out a curve. Can you see? Just this way, and that's all. We are done for the front. Every other thing is going to be the same. So right now I'm going to cut it. I'll go ahead and cut it. Trace it out with my pair of scissors. Then every other part will be the same. It's so easy. For this style, you can, depending on your size, you can use 2 inches, 2.5 inches, 2.5 yard or 3 yards of fabric. So guys, this is what I have. This is what I have for my gown. Can you see? This is what we have. This is what I have for the gown. This is what I have. And this is my back. This is my back. So right now, I will just go ahead to the sewing machine now, and I will join my shoulders together, right side to right side. The first thing I'll be doing right now is to go ahead and join my shoulders together this way. This way, and the other shoulder right side to right side. So that is what I will be doing now. So guys, this is what I have for my wrap dress. This is what I have. This is what I have. So I'll go ahead now and join this side and this side with 1/2 inch. Then after, I will come back. I just want to head over to the machine now and join the two shoulders with 1/2 inch. So guys, I've gone ahead to join the shoulder, the two shoulders. I've joined it. So the next thing I'll be doing is from this V point, from this end of this V point here, I'm going to turn it in twice. Then I will sew it round like this, all through the neck, then to the other last V point. So that's what I will do right now. I will turn it in twice. I will not sew this place because I'm going to be adding another fabric. I'm going to be adding this type of fabric 2 inches. In total, it is going to be 4 inches. Then I'll fold it into 2. Then I'll still go ahead and plait it again, as you can see in this time, round. So I'm not going to touch this place. I'm only going to touch the V neck. I'm going to put it in twice, round. I'll fold it in and tape it round. So guys, I'm done taping it round, and here is what it looks like. So the next thing I'm going to do is to turn my fabric to the other side. Then I take my measurement, I sew it round. I'm going to sew it round. My waist, my hip, my bust, and my hip rather. I will tape it round with 2 inches. Then after that, I'll be back. So right now, I'm going to head over to the sewing machine. So guys, this is what I have after joining the two sides together. This is what I have here with me. I've gone ahead to join everything, all the measurements together. But after that, before I conclude, I'm going to put a hole here. I forgot to leave space where the rope is going to pass. So the next thing that I'll be doing now is to cut my sleeve first. I'll be cutting my sleeve first. So that's the next thing I'll be doing right now, guys. So guys, here is the fabric that I'll be using to cut my sleeve. I folded it into 4 places because I'll be cutting these 2 sleeves together. As you can see, I folded it into 4 places. So here is my fabric. So the sleeve is going to be a free sleeve kind of. So I have my length here already. I have my sleeve length here, which is 22 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim out all the excesses. So I have my sleeve length here, which is 22 inches. So the simple way I do my own sleeve, I do cut my own sleeve, is by measuring from here. I'll measure 4.5 inches or 4, it depends. You can measure either 4 or 4.25. So I'm going to be measuring 4.25 inches here. Then I will also come down by the same 4.25. If you are using 4, that means you measure 4 inches here and also come down by 4 inches. Come down by what? 4 inches. This is my 4 inches. But because I came here by 4.25, I'm still going to use that 4.25 here. So what I'm just going to do is to trace it like this. I'm going to go ahead and trace it this way. Can you see? To form that shape this way. And because it is a free sleeve, I'm going to be having my rubber band here. I have nothing else to do, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut it in this way, and then I trim out all the excesses that I have here. I trim them out. I trim them out this way. So I'm going to go ahead and open this, because I said it earlier that it is 2 sleeves that I'm cutting. So this is what I have here. These are my 2 sleeves here. So what I will do right now is to head over to the machine and join this place like this. I'm going to stop here because I'm going to be folding this in for the elastic. So I'll stop here. I'm going to go ahead and join it this way and stop here. Then I join the armhole together with my gown. So that is that about the sleeve. So guys, the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to work on this place. To work on this part like this. Is to work on this place. So I have cut out the material. I made it from here to here 4 inches. No, 5 inches from here to this place. I made it 5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead, fold it like this. When I fold it this way, or I go this way first, I'm going to sew it this way. Then turn it out like this, just as if I want to make a belt, and bring it this way. So I will start from here like this, from this other hand. I'm going to start from this other hand like this. Then I start sewing. As I'm sewing it, I'll be pleating it this way. As you can see, as I'm sewing it, I'm pleating it. As I'm sewing it, I'm pleating it. As I'm sewing it, I'm pleating it. I'm going to go ahead and pleat it on, so that when I use that ½ inch to sew it, what I will have left will be 2 inches. So I'm going to pleat it round. I cut out like 3 or 4 pieces of heat. So I'm going to join them together. Then I'm going to pleat it round like I've said. So right now I'm going to head over to the sewing machine. So this is it, guys. I've gone to join this side. I've gone to join the fabric to this side. So I'm going to give it a very good press. Can you see? I went ahead to pleat it. This is it, guys. So after that, I'm going to press it. I'm going to iron it around both the neck area and everywhere. Then this is the sleeve. This side that I said I did not join completely. I don't have elastic in the house, but I'm going to get an elastic, and the very tiny elastic, the white one, the half a yard inch elastic. I'm going to get it and I will put it in the middle of this fabric like this, so that this place can come over this way. Then I sew it round, and that will be basically all for this style. But before then, I want to make the rope. I'm going to put a hole here or I put the hole here. So I'm going to join my belt. I'm going to cut out the material that I will be using for my belt. So I'm going to go ahead and join my belt to this side. I'll sew it to this side, then I put it in this way so that it will come out from here. Then I put another belt here, then I tie it back. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go ahead and cut a belt for my gown. So guys, I've gone ahead to cut out the fabric that I'll be using for my belt. So I have two fabrics here. So I'm just going to head over to the sewing machine and sew this one this way. I'm going to sew it this way, sew it this way to form a belt. This shorter one will be for here. I'm going to join it here so that I'm going to tie it here. Then the longer one, the longer part, I'm going to join it here. After sewing it and turning it out, I will join it here, bring it out here, then turn it over to the back like this way, then bring it out here so that I can tie it together this way. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Stick around, guys.